Hello and welcome to another Source Gaming discussion. I'm your host Nantenjex, and joining me today is Spazzy D,
Hey guys.
Wolfman,
Hello all.
and Epic Martin.
What's up?
And we're here to discuss E3 or pre-E3. We're going to give our predictions and stuff. It's only a few days away. And so we want to get... we're just going to come together and talk about what we want to see from Nintendo there. And the big thing I guess we'll start with is Smash Brothers, because obviously that's what our site is all about. And we've been harboring on about Smash for Switch for a long time now, and if it's gonna be revealed at any point, it's going to be this E3.
It will be every game, it'll have every character, it is a lock. Bet your everything on Smash being there.
Yeah, the only thing that's a bigger lock is Metroid. I mean, come on.
Metroid Prime 4. There will actually be... Oh, wait, there are 3 Metroid Primes.
Alright, so I guess that's the... Do we actually expect it? Because obviously we know about Mario Kart Deluxe is out, and we found out about Pokken Deluxe recently, and so they're clearly not just stopping on the ports, and Smash Brothers is one we've heard about for a while. But there have been a lot of conflicting things. A lot of the rumours surrounding Smash for Switch have also been connected to other rumours like Pokemon Stars, which might not be true. And we've heard stuff about Smash for Switch that makes it sound like it's a very small port, but it's had quite a long development, it seems, and there's a lot of conflicting information going about. So yeah, it's people are starting to think maybe it's not real, and I think that this E3 is going to be the deciding factor for it.
I would agree on that.
100% agree.
Smash has always had an E3 history. Melee, Brawl, Smash 4 were all announced there. All were had like extensive focusing there. Well, except for 2007 for Brawl, because that was the time E3 got sort of pseudo cancelled. But
yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing. So I guess do you think it's going to be a port, or do you think it's going to be a full game? So we'll go around the room, starting with Wolfman.
Port. Smash games, I think by this point, it would be weird for one to not have an incredibly long development cycle, and the time is too short, I think, for that. Especially since it's not just about the development time, it's also about like waiting to see like what the, I guess, development culture is at Nintendo, like which characters are big, which series have gotten more or less prominent.
Well, don't you think that they could do an in-development type thing like they did for Smash for Wii U?
Sure, yeah, that could work. But I don't think I think that if we see actual like footage, it'll be from a port. Yeah, I don't think we'll see like footage from an entirely new sequel.
Okay, and Martin?
Yeah, I think it's most likely going to be a port. And I agree with Wolfman's reasoning on that. But just to kind of add to that, I think just due to the fact like DLC ended in 2016, it wouldn't really give them adequate time to develop a full game while they were developing Smash 4 downloadable content. I think if the game would have ended in 2014 and never had any updates and never had any DLC, I think we would have had more of a chance of a full new game. But considering they were making content like for nearly 2 years for Smash 4, and 2 systems, 3DS and Wii U, I do think that a port is vastly more likely.
Well, Martin, what if it's like a Splatoon 2 situation where it's using the same engine and stuff, but there's they decided to make so all new stages and the characters, they treat it like a new game, but it uses the same engine. Do you think there's still enough time then for them to make a new game?
Yeah, I mean,
to show off.
That's something I could see definitely happening. But I mean, obviously the game would be branded as Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo Switch, and they could pull that marketing. So yeah, I could definitely see that happening, but it's gonna be interesting going forward to see how they choose to, brand that game and what's in there.
Okay. And Spazzy?
I think if we see anything substantial, any footage or anything, then it will be a port. I'm kind of leaning towards them preparing a new game, in which case I don't think we'll see much of anything. And I think Iwata's Nintendo was very different from what we're seeing from Kimishima's Nintendo. So I don't even know if we'd get like a teaser, because I feel like when Iwata would say things like that, it was almost offhand. He's like, "Also, we'll get Smash Brothers eventually." Like,
yeah, Iwata was always like a developer and a middle manager as much as he was a top executive.
yeah, I feel like Kimishima's ship is a lot more focused, which is good and bad. But I feel like you're not going to get as much kind of off-center sort of stuff like that. It's just going to be like, hey, here's what's going on, 1, 2, 3.
No executives wearing like vacuum cleaners.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, my thoughts are basically the same as as all three of yours. If we see any footage of it, I think it's going to be a port. If it's just mentioned or not seen at all, then I think that we have a new game potentially in the works, or one that's just started development. It's going to be interesting to see, but I wonder how much of the game, let's say it is there, let's say it is a port, how much of the game we will see. I'm thinking that it may just be a one character reveal, and like just a trailer. It might not even be at the start, probably won't be at the start, just some point in the thing we'll get one trailer, they won't spend a lot of time, and it'll just suddenly be Smash. Because it's a port, I don't think they're going to spend a ton of time with it. Remember with Mario Kart Deluxe, they didn't even announce it at the January event. They briefly teased it in the opening Switch video and then released a trailer after the event saying, oh yeah, here's Mario Kart. I think Smash is a bigger thing. I think the characters are important, which is why I think it will get a proper trailer and a proper reveal. But I don't think we're going to be spending like what they've done in the past with Smash.
Yeah.
Where they show off Smash and then Sakurai or Reggie talks about it for a few minutes. I don't think we're going to get that.
I think we might get something similar to the reveal for Smash
Villager?
4. Well, no, I think there'll be a prepared trailer if there's something new, and it'll show off a little bit of gameplay, and then probably a new character, and they'll just mention it, maybe a release date after.
I personally think if they're gonna go for the like one newcomer small kind of trailer at E3, that they might tease like, hey, maybe we'll have like this Smash Brothers Direct coming up after E3 or so to kind of detail the game, because I mean Smash is kind of Nintendo's ace in the hole, even if it's just a port. So a lot of people are gonna want to know like what it is, and I think if they just say, hey, we have this character being revealed, like just how they did it with Cloud during the Nintendo Direct, that they suckered people into the final broadcast, I think they could do something at E3 like that.
I think it's slightly too early for that, I think, at this E3. It also depends on how much content it's going to have. If the rumours pan out and it only has 3DS stuff and then 2 or 3 new characters, I don't think it would ever get a full Direct. I think they could easily pace that out and reveal a new character every Direct or a new mode until its release date, pretty much. But that obviously depends on the amount of content.
We're definitely not getting something on the lines or ambition of Sakurai's like daily blogs.
Now, I would like to see them pick of the day come back, but I guess with Miiverse being down, it's not going to happen, which is a shame.
I mean, they could always have something similar to the Smash Brothers like Brawl Dojo, just have like a website where they update constantly, or he just updates from the Smash Brothers Twitter account.
Yeah, but I feel like for a port, if it's a port, they won't go to that length.
Probably just update
they'll probably
the
update
page.
the Smash. Yeah, they'll probably just update the current Smash 4 page, seeing as it would still be relevant, and they just add the characters onto that.
They just put a focus on the Switch thing and then put like kind of push off the Wii U and 3DS markers to the side.
Yeah. So it brings up an interesting question though. Well, like how much of Smash they'd focus at the presentation. It's been recently hinted at that the presentation itself will actually only be about 30 minutes, approximately, which is actually quite short for their usual E3 presentations. And so I'm wondering if that's a good sign or a bad sign. Like I was first worried about it, but I saw people pointing out that if they stick to the formula that they introduced in their last major Nintendo Direct, that was very quick fire, trailer, not much talking, not much skits. And if they do that for this E3, I could see them getting quite a few stuff out just in 30 minutes.
Yeah, but I'm kind of sad if the like era of the really like lengthy, lackadaisical directs where you get like Miyamoto talking about how Star Fox was inspired by kanji or like that's really cool, but I could also understand why they may not want to focus as much on that. And yeah, 30 minutes for something that quick fire would be make that it makes sense. And if Smash is a port, it really doesn't make sense to make that the big marketing focus, and it's not going to be because Odyssey is the marketing focus.
Yep.
Spazzy?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what though? I don't think that is necessarily over. I think it's just going to be adjusted because Nintendo's still going to have the Treehouse for 2 days, and I feel like that's where you get into. That's where they might have a small trailer for Xenoblade 2. I mean, we're going to get into what we think later, but just as an example, right?
Yeah.
But then the Treehouse, they might have a couple hours of gameplay. They might have developers come up and they can talk to them, and the developers can talk about the game, and we can see what the game's about. And I think that's a better format because E3 is about like trailer, just reveal. Just it's about building hype, and that's why I think Sony has done really well recently. Because if you really look at the games that Sony's announcing and when they come out, and like if you do a retrospect, you'd be like, oh, all of these games suck, or this game hasn't come out and it's 5 years later, but they play the game, and that's what your conference should be. And I feel like Nintendo, from what we've seen previously, will lend itself more to that. And then for like real Nintendo fans, people that are into it, you'll watch the Treehouse and you'll get a little background and this or that. You might have Anuma come up and talk about something and all sorts of stuff like that. So
I also don't want them to go near toward what Sony's doing. Like I think honestly, the like shove an executive in front of a camera, like talk for a few minutes, like that, or the quickfire thing we saw in the last direct, like. I like those because they're fast, because they don't like take forever, because they're not overbearing. Like I don't want Nintendo to go back into that like that January like presentation was absurd.
Oh yeah.
Like, that was like flagrantly, exhaustively absurd, and I really like that they in general don't lean towards that. So
right, you have something more like the ARMS Direct, and all of a sudden. When they revealed ARMS, it looked kind of lame. It's because it was the focus of so much when we were expecting more, and it kind of dragged on and on. But once we were able to see it in a different circumstances and understand what the game was about, hey, like I honestly wasn't sold on ARMS as a game until that last direct. I'm like, oh, this seems cool. Yeah. So yeah, they need to stay focused, and hopefully what we see is more like recent directs and less like that January presentation. I agree with that.
Martin?
Yeah, what I think I agree with you guys. I think we see something that's more like I wouldn't say information heavy, but pretty much gets to the point and shows like what the game is about and doesn't lag on anything. In my opinion, I personally did like the format of the direct that happened, the past direct. I really liked the rapid fire movement. I thought it was really interesting, and like some of the games I wasn't really interested in, they still brought them to my attention because I wasn't sitting there like, okay, move on. I am not interested in this. So
they can also do other things, and I think it's really to their benefit that we had like a very slow, very like in-depth ARMS direct right after that really rapid fire direct, which I think came after a more normal one. Like there's different formats, and I think it's smart for Nintendo to play with the format.
All right, so I think that for the presentation itself is fine. So let's actually talk about what we want to see from this presentation. And I think the first big question I have for all of you is, in the Nintendo Spotlight, what they're calling the 30-minute presentation, do you think we'll see 3DS games?
One.
Because they've commented, like, if you read the press email, it specifically just mentions Switch. And then the Treehouse segment mentions Switch and 3DS. And with Pokemon being revealed beforehand, like, I don't think they're going to highlight it in the Spotlight. because they actually specifically said, Treehouse will be playing more of this. So I don't think it'll be in the spotlight. But we know there are other 3DS games coming. We have the Kirby one, which will be coming out at the end of this year, which we need to see something of. And there's also been the leaked Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga Deluxe, which we presumably will get announced. And Fire Emblem Warriors for new 3DS as well.
Yeah, I think like those will be there. I think the Kirby game is really the only one that's going to get a ton of focus. But yeah, I mean, they have an unannounced Kirby game, and it's the 25th anniversary, and Kirby has always had a good place on handhelds, insofar as the Switch is technically not a handheld, but, whatever.
You know what I don't want to see is, so they revealed some new Pokemon stuff now. Now let's go in depth on the game that we revealed a couple days ago that's lost all hype. Let's just spend 5 to 8 minutes just talking about this these new Pokemon 3DS games. That's what I'm really hoping we don't see. I think there'll be 3DS stuff there. I hope there's not much, but I think there's at least going to be a little recap. We haven't seen Pikmin 3DS. There's a bunch of 3DS games on the horizon, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that stuff I feel like they could just spend time with in the Nintendo Treehouse stuff. Demo, hey Pikmin or whatever it's called. A bit of Ever Oasis and stuff.
By the way, super hyped for Ever Oasis. I just throwing that out there. And I think that game's going to do badly, but I want it to do well.
Yeah.
But,
I know I want it to do well as well.
I think at least we'll get like how they do the indie sizzle reels. We're at least going to get a 3DS coming this year reel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you think we'll get any other new 3DS games announced apart from the ones that, Mario and Luigi?
Maybe one final JRPG.
We're going to get the 3DS version of Mario X Rabbids.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess we'll move on to that. We'll segue it over. Mario and Rabbids is obviously something that's been leaked recently, being made by Ubisoft, starring Mario, a strategy RPG, and we're definitely going to see it at E3. But do you think Nintendo are going to reveal it, or do you think Ubisoft are going to reveal it?
Mario, or Nintendo, it's a Mario game. I feel like it'd be kind of weird and maybe a little absurd for a Mario game to not be revealed by Nintendo.
Well, I mean, from the sounds of it, Ubisoft are the ones making it. Ubisoft are the ones publishing it.
Really?
It's a bit like the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, where Sega are the ones who make and publish it.
Are those at Sega's shows?
Well, Sega doesn't do shows.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. But
so
yeah, I mean, Ubisoft will have their own presentation. Does anyone have the schedule? I'm gonna go look that up real quick.
It goes. I have it off the kind of the top of my head. EA's first, then it's Bethesda, then it's Sony, then it's Ubisoft, then it's Microsoft, and then it's Nintendo. Maybe Microsoft and Ubisoft are swapped, but that's the general order. And then PC Game Show, I think, is in between Ubisoft.
Okay, I would say if Nintendo generally is on the second day or after a lot of the other big hitters. I would say if Ubisoft was after Nintendo, then we might see it expanded upon more there. But yeah, I think it's weird. I feel like it's something that Nintendo is going to want to talk about. It's interesting, though, because, well, I feel like Red Steel was E3 Nintendo. I feel like
it was.
Zombie U was E3 Nintendo. So
it was.
Why wouldn't this be E3 Nintendo?
Especially since...
I guess that is true.
Yeah, especially since it stars Mr. Nintendo. Oh. And also,
the
other thing is just that, I think you could also make the argument that Mario meets Rabbids, Dawn of Justice, or whatever, isn't. I saw that movie 2 weeks ago. Not very good. But it doesn't really fit in with, I guess, what you'd call the Ubisoft game, the mediocre, paint by numbers, M-rated open world game with stealth elements.
That's just Assassin's Creed.
And Watch Dogs. And The Division.
I've never played The Division, but you're fair.
And
That's
Far
true.
Cry.
Far Cry kind of does its own thing a little bit.
It's not part of the expanded Ubisoft video game universe. Because I think that's a thing that they actually have with all them games. They're all part of the same universe. It's only Rayman who gets to be separate.
Rayman escapes the sludge.
Yeah. Well, Martin, do you have any thing to say on Rabbids?
Yeah, so I do think Super Mario Civil War will be at E3. So that, yeah, I can guarantee you that it will actually be at E3. No, but I do think Mario and Rabbids will probably be presented by Nintendo themselves. I mean, as Wolfman put it is Mr. Nintendo. He is the, iconic face of Nintendo. So in my mind, it would have to be shown by Nintendo, even if it's developed by a third party. So
okay, fair enough. So I guess that does it for what we kind of know/expect to see. I guess everything else outside of that is a surprise. I mean, unless you think, are they going to show anything from Splatoon 2 and ARMS?
Not ARMS, I don't think. It's coming out like days after E3. It just feels like there's not really much of a point. I think a few minutes on Splatoon 2.
Do you think we'll get another Pokken trailer, or do you think they'll just save that?
They'll save it for the treehouse and the
treehouse.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think everyone here is probably in agreement that we'll see Fire Emblem Warriors and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 stuff there.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think we'll get just a trailer for them, or do you think we'll actually get some expanded on it? Because if I remember correctly, in 2014 with Hyrule Warriors, they had like a full 5-minute developer conversation about that, where they revealed Princess Zelda and Midna and then talked about the game. Could either Fire Emblem or Xenoblade get the same sort of thing?
I think that we're going to see more for Warriors, especially since Warriors has been in development a little bit. Well, not that it's been in development longer, but for a Warriors game, it's been in development long enough for them to show more. And I know Xenoblade is supposedly coming out this year. But I mean, it's a big story-driven RPG. I think we're just gonna. And how many trailers did we see for X before it came out? I just think we're gonna see like a long trailer for it, and that's it. And then maybe a release date if we're lucky.
Yeah, I'm kind of doubtful on whether there's actually like a chance to really see Xenoblade.
I think we'll definitely see it. I'm more in the positive side of the camp. I don't think we'll get it 2017 for us, but I think in Japan they could definitely get it for 2017. And I mean, if reports are to be believed, they just finished recording.
Yeah, they finished recording the score.
Yeah, the score, and the voice acting is nearly done.
For one region.
And that sounds... good question. But that sounds to me like, the story is already fully written, it's set in place, they've worked on it, they have no plans to change any of it. Because in production, you would always do the voice recording last, in case something doesn't work and you have to change it, that you don't want to scrap that recording and re-record it all. Which is a good sign if it's nearly done, because it makes it sound like it's nearly finished.
Here's a real question about Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Will the voice acting in the Western version be British?
Oh god, I hope so.
Yeah, that was not great in Xenoblade X. I mean, Xenoblade X is not really a great game. I'd struggle to even call it a good game.
I
would say
personally.
that it was a game that tried to do too many things at once, and it suffered for it in that a lot of the things that people liked about the first game didn't translate well, including the story.
Well, I sit in the camp that Xenoblade X and Xenoblade 1 should essentially be their own sort of separate things. Like, X is more like a open world spin-off of Xenoblade 1, and that's why we're getting now Xenoblade 2, which is a continuation more on that line with a more story-driven, focused one.
And another Monado
And then
boy.
in a few years, we'll get Xenoblade Y, and that'll be a follow-up to X. And I don't mind the X side being American, considering, New Los Angeles and stuff. I get that the idea, it makes more sense for them to be American, as long as Xenoblade 1 side gets to remain British.
Yeah.
Because I think that really helped for the charm of Xenoblade 1.
I'm not sure.
And if 2 is a follow-up, I want it to
really makes it stand
stay
out
that
from
way.
a lot of other JRPGs, too.
Yeah.
First off, as an American, I'm not really sure we really understood New Los Angeles either, considering it doesn't actually look like Los Angeles.
It had palm trees.
Just diverging from it, we have not heard anything about the Virtual Console other than that the program for the NES games, which doesn't, include Super Nintendo or Nintendo 64, Game Boy Advance or DS or any other level. Because I think that the program they have can make sense for NES games, but I don't think it would for N64 games.
I think N64 games could fit on that. I think games that they've released on the Virtual Console a few times already are fine for their program. I think it's the brand new stuff, like the GameCube Virtual Console, that they won't release as part of this program.
Okay.
And I don't think it's going to go past 64 because I think with the price tag that it is, those are the ones that make the most sense. I've seen the argument that, with PlayStation Plus, you can get games from PS4 to PS1. Even. But most of the PS4 games are the eShop type PS4 games instead. And if this is only going to stick to Virtual Console, I don't see them releasing any Wii U, anything that's major from DS onwards, from GameCube onwards. But in my opinion, for Virtual Console, I'm going to be the pessimist and say that until we find out more details about their online service and they actually talk about it in more detail, we're not going to see the Virtual Console, because I don't think the Virtual Console is launching until their online service launches.
Okay.
And that's been delayed till 2018 now.
Yep, I completely agree. If we do see the online service, I do think it's either going to be detailed in a direct near the end of this year, or it'll have its own separate direct to give its own focus. I think the online is so big that they're going to have to tell people, okay, this is what it is. This is why you need to spend your money on it. Because if Nintendo doesn't convince people, they're not going to upgrade, and they won't have that online infrastructure that we've all been wanting. So I think this E3 is just going to be mainly about, okay, what's new that's coming out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. That's why I don't think ARMS is going to be shown. They want to look to the future, and ARMS is, the future, but it's in the future of a week.
So we can expect a trailer for Legs.
Yeah, I think that online is something that they really need to focus on, and I think after the negative feedback, I think it's fair to say, when they first talked about it in January, they've sat down and rethought how they're going to do it. Which is why they've, changed their initial, you'll get one game a month that you won't get to keep.
You're going to get Urban Champion, and it's going to have online, and you're going to love it.
Yeah. To, you get a full library of games that you get to keep as long as you're subscribed. I think the change with that, they've also changed a bunch of other stuff, and that's why the whole thing's been delayed.
Here's my thing on that, and I'd like more clarification on it. Do you get a bunch of games and you get to keep them, or is it more Netflix-like in that you get access, because it's not like PlayStation Plus, it's like PlayStation Now. You get access to a group of games, then that group of games will change. So let's say there's a combination of 20 Nintendo and Super Nintendo games for 3 months, and then they switch them with another 20 Nintendo or Super Nintendo games. You know what I'm saying?
I think it'll be like Netflix.
Yeah.
But the one thing that really worries me is that would that be online only? Would your online connection be necessary to play, say, a Twitch shooter?
Not sure, but they did say that all of the games as part of this service would have online functionality in some way, which is interesting because I think Eurogamer, I don't know if they were just speculating or not, mentioned that one of these games would be Super Mario Bros. 3, and I'm wondering how you play online with Super Mario Bros. 3.
Maybe there's a spectator mode.
Leaderboard or... Yeah, spectator mode. That'd be interesting to see. But the lack of Virtual Console for this makes me is basically, I don't think we'll see Melee. I don't think we will see Mother 3. I don't think we will see anything along these lines. So, if no one else has anything to say about the Virtual Console, I guess what else do we think we're going to see at this E3? What big things are they going to... Yeah, from Nintendo. So, Spazzy, why don't you start off? What else do you think we might see at this E3?
I'm going to say this because I feel, it's like all the people that do the leaks and rumors. If you say it enough, eventually it'll be true. We're going to see Retro's new game. It's been too... I don't know if it's going to be a revival of an old franchise or something new, but we're going to see their new game. I'm going to say that they're going to announce some sort of Mario spinoff, probably a sports game, maybe Mario Party.
Technically, they already have a Mario spinoff, and that's Mario and Rabbids Fury Road.
That's true. That might throw a wrench into things, but I'm still going to say there's going to be like Mario Party or something. In fact, I think Mario Party, they really want to push this idea of the Switch being this multiplayer. You can have a party anywhere. So I feel like, hey, some sort of Mario sports title or Mario Party title makes a lot of sense to keep that going.
Yeah,
and those games
I agree. I fully agree with that. I think they don't tend to announce them during the presentation. Maybe that might change, but Mario Party 11 there was a rumor for a while that the Switch was going to be getting a upgraded port of Mario Sports Superstar.
Oh,
and I think playing that game, there is evidence that, they've got some stuff like, I think there's evidence of characters like Dry Bowser being planned for the game but not actually making it in. I could easily see that being added for a HD version. Just if they do that, I want it to have more content, because that's what that game is good. It just lacks content in like every department.
Yeah,
but
I would say that. I mean, it's not the sexy pick. Everyone wants to say F-Zero, but you want to say F-Zero, but you're getting Mario Lacrosse. You know what I'm saying?
I'm actually completely fine with Mario Lacrosse. Do you know that's Algonquin for Bloodsport?
I did not know that, but thank you. Now.
It is not.
Oh. I thought it just meant like, the cross.
The cross starring Mario.
So yeah. Anyways, so that's that. I think there's going to be at least one hype trailer that they're going to try to hype things up from an existing franchise. Metroid seems like the one that's been dormant that can make a big enough splash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll say we'll probably see some sort of trailer for Metroid.
And hopefully it'll be better than Star Fox.
Yes.
It's just a Sakamoto, and you can't see the screen. It's just really blurry. And then he just turns around and is like, "Oh yes, Metroid is coming." Good. Oh yes.
Yeah, I mean, other big franchises that I feel like. Do we know what's the Animal Crossing team doing right now?
Well, some of them are working on Splatoon 2.
Okay.
But apart from that, it depends who made 1-2 Switch as well, because that's they usually make that quirky, quirky early game in the console's life cycle. But Animal Crossing is one am leaning more towards now that I know Pokemon is going to be on the 3DS. Like, I feel like there's going to be one other big game for this fall alongside Mario, like in between Mario and Xenoblade, and I could see that being an Animal Crossing title.
Yeah, it kind of feels like time. In fact, they keep releasing Animal Crossing things that just aren't a new Animal Crossing for so long that it kind of feels like we're due. I'm not even really, that big of an Animal Crossing fan. It just kind of feels that way. The games we already talked about. I'm sorry, Wolfman, you were saying?
No, I was just going to say, Animal Crossing on the Switch seems like a lock. It is the perfect way to fuse the handheld and console versions of the series. They
have all these amiibos they have to use, so...
Yeah.
That's another thing. I do think we'll see some more amiibos. Maybe an entirely new line of amiibos. It depends on, if they show Metroid, they might do Metroid amiibos. If they show, I don't know, who cares? Star Fox, F-Zero, whatever,
I think if they bring up Super Mario Odyssey, I feel like we'll get an amiibo. I think it'll be like Mario with his hat in that pose. But I think that if Kirby 3DS does get a focus at this thing, we'll get a new line of Kirby amiibos, a second series for the anniversary. We will 100% get an 8-bit Kirby amiibo. If that's the case. And then depending on what the context of the new game is like, we could get amiibo relating to characters in that. It depends. We'll have to see. But I think if there's going to be any new line, it's going to be Kirby. But that's my 2 cents. Going back to Metroid, I do think that this is the year for Metroid. I'm still not 100% convinced whether it will be 2D. I feel like it won't be Metroid Prime 4 though.
No, I think if it is even like if they even do another first-person shooter, it's going to have a different name.
Nah, I don't think it will be a first-person shooter. I could see them attempting an Other M style game again, but with the things fixed. Other M's core idea was fine. It was just its implementation and their desire to make it work on just the Wii remote.
And also the story and the writing.
Yeah, well, the story and the writing is a different matter. I'm talking specifically from a gameplay perspective.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I think that Other M's style wasn't too bad. It just had issues due to the limited controller. And the Switch could go that way if they wanted it to work specifically with the Joy-Con, but at the same time it could also be perfectly... If it's not going to be a multiplayer game, then they don't need it to do that.
It's actually an interesting idea that I don't think we've ever really seen fully implemented in a game that's kind of a 2.5D game, but you do kind of have 3D movement in it. But then if you want to more fully explore your environment, you know, you can actually stop and look around. If during a boss fight you have the first-person perspective to lock on to things. I don't think there's ever been a game that does that well, but I mean, you essentially almost have to create a game that functions as two different games, you know, that functions as a first-person shooter and as a side-scroller. But it's fascinating idea.
Oh yeah, but we've had games that have done that.
Well,
like not done the 2.5D with a weird, you point your controller at the screen halfway through to shoot. I mean, like having two entirely different gameplay systems. But yeah, no, it feels cross purposes in a way. Even something like an action horror game doesn't really feel cross purposes.
I honestly think that Nintendo will just forget those ideas and just do Federation Force 2. Obviously, because there's gotta be some salt at E3. You gotta have some salt.
Oh, well, the salt is Sakurai's new project.
Nah. I think we'll get Pikmin 4, but it will be a reboot of Pikmin 1 with portals controls. And motion controls.
not pointing, by the way. Not pointer controls. Motion controls. You have to pick the Pikmin up and throw them.
That actually sounds awesome.
Don't forget the microtransactions.
You have to pay for every Pikmin you get.
So do you think we'll see any Nintendo cell phone stuff? I don't, but that would be kind of hilarious.
I don't. No. I think they keep that stuff out of E3 and save it for other things. I mean, there's the rumored Zelda one. There's the Animal Crossing one we're still waiting to see. And I think we will get both of them talked about at a later date, but I don't think it will be this E3. Like I said, I think the conference itself will stick mainly to Switch stuff, maybe Kirby 3DS.
I think we might see some DLC for ARMS, including the first new character, who's Little Mech, who's a little robot that looks like Little Mech.
No, I see. I think we will get DLC stuff, same for Zelda in the Treehouse. I think.
Yeah, I could definitely 100% see that.
Going back to Pikmin, actually, I do think we might see Pikmin 4 at this E3. I mean, they've been hinting at it for a while, and I don't think it's Hey Pikmin. So I think there's a good chance we will see that.
So instead of the year of Metroid, it's the year of Pikmin?
Yeah. I mean, they were also releasing that Pikmin amiibo, and I feel like that's got to be used for more games than just one. I mean, it's not Chibi Robo. Oh,
I was thinking it could be used for a Pikmin Pachinko machine.
Don't even go there. No.
I mean, hey, the environment's green, which stands for money.
Get your patchy slot nonsense out of this room.
Hey, Pikmin 2 was all about making as much money as possible.
If Nintendo ever has a patchy slot or pachinko machine, and the first one they do is not Wario, there's something wrong with this world.
Yeah.
It basically is Nintendo patchy slots. They just disguise it really well. There's a gambling Mario Party machine in Japan that's super popular. It's not a patchy slot. It's just one of them. You put coins in and try and knock other coins down and play mini games while you're doing it. But that's another discussion for another day. Martin, have you got any thoughts about what games we might see at E3?
I basically think that most of the games that you guys have said will most likely be there. I don't have any predictions on the top of my head. I mean, most of the stuff that I'm thinking of are way out there. So I think the safest bet is Pikmin 4. I think we'll definitely see that in some form. Animal Crossing is obviously due. I think that is a safe bet. So I think most of the mainstay franchises, Sans, F-Zero, will be there. So
yeah. Anything F-Zero is a mainstay franchise.
So you're saying there's going to be a Kid Icarus Switch announcement?
Actually, Kid Icarus would be pretty great for an upgraded Switch port. Like, Uprising is legit great.
We haven't seen, and the biggest issues with Uprising could be resolved, which is the controls.
Yeah, it's controllers. Yeah. I think it would be far better on a console than it would have been on the 3DS.
I agree, but that's a question. No, do you think because there haven't been any ports and really very few simultaneous releases from 3DS to, so it's kind of unprecedented at this time. I mean, do you think we will see some of those?
Well, I brought up the Mario Sports one, the Sports Superstar, which I could see, and again on the Mario line, there were rumors of Mario Maker getting a port for Switch, and at first I wasn't thinking that was going to be the case because of Super Mario Maker for 3DS, but then I found out that Nintendo's 2D Mario team didn't make Super Mario Maker for 3DS. That was made by NST, who do the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series. So that studio actually hasn't done anything since Super Mario Maker, which came out in 2015, right? Yeah. September. So they haven't done anything in nearly 2 years. So
yeah, we could see
something like that. I'm just wondering if they would reveal a 2D Mario as well as a 3D Mario, like, you know, talk about Odyssey and talk about the new Super Mario Brothers or another Mario Maker or something.
So here's a question.
Go ahead.
What 2 to 3 year old third-party ports do you think we're going to see announced?
Arkham Knight.
We got Payday 2 coming out, so...
Well, Skyrim.
Skyrim, yep. Actually, that's a good point. I think we might see more of Skyrim.
I think we might see one of the old Fallout games. We're already getting Skyrim. That's the next step.
Well, I think they'll start with Skyrim first, and
before they announce anything else.
And work their way through that.
We'll get the Black Isle ones too. We'll get Fallout 2. Actually, that'd be pretty great.
I'm interested if we'll see FIFA or Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed or any of them, or if they will just let their own companies announce them. I mean, I'm sure Ubisoft will announce Assassin's Creed. It's just whether or not Nintendo will put a bit of focus on it as well.
I think Nintendo's going to focus on like the more Nintendo orbiting stuff and let Ubisoft do Assassin's Creed if Assassin's Creed on the Switch really exists.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah, it was on. They released almost all of them on Wii U, and that was the Wii U.
Yeah, it was just Infinity and the other, which other one was when they started getting really bad. That's when they stopped releasing.
Well, they started getting really bad with 3.
No, we said really.
I mean,
bad,
brokenly bad. Yeah.
Oh god, I own that game.
What other ports?
Why can't I remember what it's called? I owned it on Xbox One. Assassin's Creed, something with an S.
You're thinking of Unity, maybe the one where people look like the things from The Thing.
Yes. Unity.
I don't know what
Souls
other
3.
ports. Dark Souls. Oh yeah, there's of course. From Software are on the list of developers of people working on that, and at that same thing, Shin Megami Tensei. Anything from Atlas, in fact, could potentially be revealed there.
Personally, I mean, obviously, or not obviously, but almost certainly, the From Software thing is probably just going to be Dark Souls 3 or a Dark Souls collection with the DLC. Personally, I still hold out hope, which will never actually come true, for a Dark Souls, Hyrule Warriors, or Pokken-esque crossover, where it's like Metroid as a Souls game.
That would be a twist.
Or Animal Crossing as a Souls game.
And Knuckles.
Yes.
No, that's a good point, actually. The From Software game, I could see that happening.
I will make a bold prediction. We won't hear or see anything related to Rockstar Games at Nintendo's.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's going to be a thing either, yeah.
And that's too bad, because Chinatown Wars was pretty all right. You could snort blow on the DS. Like, that game is absurd.
And it didn't sell that badly. It just sold, mediocrely for a Grand Theft Auto game on a system with that sort of install base.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what other third-party stuff they will talk about.
It depends how much is in. It depends how much third parties believe in the platform now, and it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, it is really hard to tell. I feel like Capcom don't believe in at the moment.
They're like, we don't think we can shift packages of NES games on this. So I'm sorry, no Mega Man or Disney Afternoon. Sorry, Nintendo.
I still want to hear the reasoning behind that. I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, it is funny to see how obvious. I mean, for obvious reasons, every company was super suspicious at this thing's like sellability, and now that it's selling through the roof, everyone's like, oh yeah, no, we're totally want to do the Switch.
Yeah, like, is this going to sell like a Nintendo home console or a Nintendo portable?
I think like the only Capcom game I think we might even see is maybe the Resident Evil 2 remake that
Monster
they
Hunter
said they were making. Monster Hunter Double Cross maybe, but I'm thinking that'll be safe for Treehouse.
Yeah, I don't know. Monster Hunter's pretty huge.
We'll see. For going back off of the third party quickly, I wanted to say that two other games from Nintendo I think we could see. One I think is more likely is whatever Next Level Games is working on, which I'm leaning towards Luigi's Mansion 3. But because they said that they were making a game for the Wii U that had really good animation and stuff, and then we haven't heard anything about it, and it never got released. Presumably it's been moved over to the Switch. And I think Nintendo went through a habit of making games on the 3DS and then making bigger versions of that game on the Wii U. Look at Mario Tennis to
Mario
Ultra Smash
3D Land
and Mario 3D Land to 3D World, Sticker Star to Color Splash. So I could easily see Luigi's Mansion 2 to Luigi's Mansion 3.
No Punch-Out Switch? Oh.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
Well, they need the Next Level is a good developer, and they need something like a win after Federation Force.
Yeah, and I think we could see that here. I almost thought it was going to be a launch title, but they obviously never got revealed for it. But Luigi's Mansion, my only thing is that too much Mario again?
A little,
would they hold off and then reveal it next year for a next year title? It's hard to say. And the other one is, I don't think we'll see it, but I think it would be cool. It would be a WarioWare Switch title.
Ooh, yeah.
Because I think the Joy-Con are perfect to bringing WarioWare back to life, because I think it kind of died out because it relies on unique gimmicks.
Yeah.
And they ran out of unique gimmicks.
Yeah.
Unless they make Game & Wario 2, but that's...
I think the Joy-Con with HD Rumble is perfect for this sort of absurd things you can get with it. Because they could make games based around strange feelings in the Joy-Con.
Oh, yeah, no. I think that WarioWare with Joy-Cons is brilliant, and it'll be nice to have another game actually try to use those really cool HD Rumble things.
Yes. Yeah. But
because I really doubt most of Nintendo's games are going to.
And actually, here's a thought. Do you think we'll get another Zelda game shown off at this E3?
No.
No? We're not even like a Zelda Maker or a HD remake of Skyward Sword?
Actually, I think the only thing would be a Zelda Maker, but I don't think a mainline Zelda game we're going to see.
If we see anything, I could even... I don't know, maybe not. I was going to say maybe another 3DS title, but the 3DS has so many Zeldas already.
Yeah.
I was thinking 3DS title, but then I remember that Grezzo, who did Triforce Heroes, is doing Ever Oasis, obviously.
Right.
So it's whether or not they just took the Link to the Past team and put them on Breath of the Wild or not.
All right, one more question. What long dormant Konami IP is Nintendo going to ask to use next?
Castlevania.
Goemon, please.
That's a good one.
Metal Gear.
International Track and Field.
Yeah, I think it's got to be one of those. So I don't think we'll see it. Maybe we might get treehouse stuff of Super Bomberman R in its next set of free DLC updates.
Yeah. How Super Bomberman R is sold pretty well, right?
Yeah, it's a best-selling console
yeah.
Bomberman game. I think since like maybe something like Bomberman 64 or something, it's sold very well.
So apparently, if you make a game people like and put it on a machine that sells at least decently well, then it can make money and not justify nothing but pachinko machines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a good start. Like, we can hopefully it starts a trend of Konami coming back.
They'd also have to like get rid of some of those business practices and.
Well, I don't think that's happening. This is a Japanese company we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll see anything from Square. I think they're going to save all their stuff for Sony's conference.
I was about to say, I think they might reveal some stuff in their own conference. For a lot of their kind of digital-only and smaller games, we have I Am Setsuna, Sphere. I could see more stuff like that, more collections.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Octopath Traveler is something that we could see.
Right. I mean, how awful would it be for them to do another? Because the Mana collection is cool, but they're like, look, it's the Final Fantasy collection. 3 Final Fantasy games for the Super Nintendo. It's only $40.
I think if they did a Final Fantasy collection in the style of the Mega Man Legacy collection, and they'd like Final Fantasy 1 through 6, people would be all over that.
Yeah, and they did some similar things for the PSP back in the day.
Watch Square Enix pull a Capcom and do like Ultra Final Fantasy, which is $60 and has like different modes. And
now you can get Metal Cloud.
You can see all the creases on Black Mage's robe. You too can walk through the same corridor as every other character for 13 hours before you apparently get some goddamn sunlight. Final Fantasy 13.
There's been a lot of rumors of a Final Fantasy 15 port, and I won't discount that.
I won't. I have a feeling it won't happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. I'll put it like that. But
I'm gonna be honest. I think if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen with like an Ultimate Edition.
Comes bundled with the Cloud amiibo.
Maybe. I mean, they could if they release like the game bundle with all the DLC for the PS4 and Xbox One. I could see something similar happening with the Switch.
Yeah,
you'd hope so, but the dumbest move I've ever seen any company make and then blame it on the consumer was, hey, we're gonna release a port of Mass Effect 3 like a year after it came out on the Switch, and before it's even out, or I believe it was before it was out, right? They're like,
yeah, it was
we're
before
gonna
it was
announce the trilogy for Xbox 360 and PS3.
And not just that, it's the Mass Effect 3, but like the whole premise of those games is that you play one and it influences the next one, and this doesn't do that. It like there's something I guess kind of cool about the fact that you aren't allowed to come up with your perfect choice, but at the same time you can also do that anyway. Yeah, no, it
was absurd.
EA blaming, like, as much as the Wii U was a commercial failure of a machine, I love it, but it was, like, that is on EA, I think, at least in part, for making, like, that was absurd.
Yeah, I think it was just, felt like a slap, because EA were like, oh yeah, we're going to support this console, blah, 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 look at all these games we're releasing, and then it's clearly not like, if the Wii U could take Mass Effect 3, it could clearly take Mass Effect 1 and 2 as well. So the very fact that they released a compilation on every other system at the same time that they just released 3 on the Wii U felt, I think, absurd to most people. And they didn't quite understand why they were getting left out, and it just left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. In the same way that them releasing a previous version of FIFA for no reason on the Wii
and
U
Madden.
also
Madden
pissed
was
off
also
a lot
the
of people.
previous year's
Madden, yeah. And the same thing might be happening with the Switch, despite FIFA saying that this FIFA for the Switch was being built specifically for the Switch. It looks like it's just the version that's on Xbox 360. Which is also baffling because it's literally a blatant lie that they made. Unless there's actually 2 FIFA games coming out for the Switch. but we're gonna have to see.
By the way, and THQ Nordic has said that Darksiders 3 is not coming to the Switch, but I don't believe that because Darksiders 4 Master Edition came out like yesterday for no reason. So
yeah,
I believe that
I know.
that will eventually come to Switch. I'm just saying that's not an E3 prediction, but that game will one day be playable on the Switch.
Yeah, I'm thinking at some point at E3 we'll see Sonic Forces, more stuff for that on the Switch. I just don't think we'll see it during Nintendo's presentation.
Yeah.
Maybe
and that ridiculous
maybe in Treehouse
character customization thing.
Yeah, and Sonic Mania as well. We might see a new level of being played during Treehouse. It depends. It's up to Sega on that.
I also think we're going to, though, get one possible good news about a third party, like something really exciting. Maybe that's Bayonetta 3 or any other Platinum game. Maybe it's From Software doing something totally original. I don't know, but like I do think we're going to get one really interesting third party game, like a major game, and I think there will be a few really interesting indies.
Yeah, I like the idea of it being From Software. I don't think Platinum is ready to show anything off yet.
Yeah, Scalebound.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, From Software, I think we could definitely see something. Unless, of course, their interesting third-party thing they expected was to be Rabbit. I mean, that also might just been what filled that out.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we might get Capcom Street Fighter 3, the final challengers, so that
Ultra Street Fighter 3. Yeah, I guess. So, are there any other thoughts for what we might see from Nintendo?
From Nintendo themselves? No, I mean
during Nintendo's presentation or during the Treehouse stream.
I think probably not, but maybe a new IP, probably for like a smaller project.
I could see that. Yeah.
Maybe revealing some additional DLC like ARMS, but also possibly Splatoon, possibly giving a hint at what the next thing in Breath of the Wild is going to be.
I think one game that we'll definitely be seeing, and it'll be the best AAA title of all time, Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Obviously.
With the 3DS version of Mario Maker just coming out, I actually don't think we'll see anything from them. Don't think we'll be seeing Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Leave that for E3 next year.
Yeah. Well, we had the year of Luigi. Now we have the year of classic Donkey Kong.
A new Donkey Kong Jr. I'd be down for that.
Yeah. Donkey Kong 3: The Wrath of Stanley the Bugman.
You know, I'd actually like to see a completely just different thing, but going back to the ports, a port of Tokyo Mirage Sessions, because that's a game that really deserved to get more attention and get more love, and just didn't. And I think maybe it's one that deserves especially because Atlas are quite big on re-releasing their old games. I mean, Persona 3 got re-released once or twice, and Persona 4 got Persona 4 Golden on the PS Vita. So I don't think it's out of the realm that Tokyo Mirage Sessions gets like a Sharp FE Platinum version on the Switch.
We're also going to see an indie reel,
which will be cool.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll see anything major on there. I mean, we'll see new indies, definitely. Unless they announce... I know there's been rumors that for SteamWorld Dig 2 there's going to be an amiibo. And there's rumors for that Binding of Isaac was also going to get an amiibo.
I could see a Shantae amiibo happening.
Well, yeah. Shantae I'm not so sure on, just because the game that it would work with comes out, like, tomorrow.
I mean, if they did a series of indie amiibos, it could be, kind of a reveal of an entire line, pretty much.
That's true, to follow, but I think like Shovel Knight was done by Yacht Club Games specifically, and while I'm sure WayForward would want their own amiibo, I just don't know if they have it in them at the moment to make it.
Yeah.
Whereas I know that Playtonic, the Image Form, and Nicalis have all also expressed interest in doing amiibo, with the rest of them all hinting at it. So we might see something like that.
What we're going to see is Super Shovel Knight as a timed exclusive. we're not going to. Yacht Club Games is still working on the original game.
Yeah. Yacht Club Games finished the first Shovel Knight. Okay, but yeah, I think, does that wrap it up for Nintendo then?
Yeah, I think so.
Alright, well, let's go on to the others then quickly. But you'll all have to hear about that another time, because this discussion went on a bit too long, So we decided to split it here. So join us next time for the non-Nintendo properties, Sony, Microsoft, and what we think they might show this E3. If you liked what you've heard today, then please like and subscribe so that you can stay up to date with all of our E3 coverage and beyond. You know, if Smash for Switch gets announced, we're going to be all over that, so keep an eye on the channel, and let us know what you want to see from Nintendo in the comments below. Until next time, guys, bye. Until next